Well, hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Millennial Bard, our weekly live stream where we talk about all the biggest news in the world of pop culture, whether that's movies, superheroes, or just anything in general. Like recently, we've even spoken about games. So that is how I'm really trying to grow this show. First and foremost, thanks to all of you who've joined in. We've got a packed show for you today. Again, similar to last week, we're going to follow a pattern. There's going to be a lot of predetermined topics. There's going to be some news pieces. There's heaps that's been going on at San Diego Comic Con, which I am going to talk about, especially about one studio. I promise you, this is not how I intended this video to be. I was going to talk about DC, about PlayStation, about everything else. But when I woke up this morning, Marvel owned San Diego Comic Con. They owned every bit of it with their Hall H presentation, with all the surprises in the announcements that they dropped today. So, unknowingly, unwillingly, the show is packed with a lot of Marvel Cinematic Universe, a lot of Marvel news. So please stay tuned. And with that, I'm just gonna bring on. Where do we go? Yeah. I used to have a manager once who used to tell me that said, "Why do you have so many slides open at the time?" Um, it's how chaotic you are, and yes, I agree. I am an agent of chaos. Um, but for those of you who are joining this live stream for the first time, here's just a bit about what the show is about. So once a week, I do a quick catch up. I bring to you the latest, the best, the biggest news in pop culture, in cinema, in superheroes. I talk about those news features. I talk about what is the biggest thing that's recently dropped or that's about to drop, whether that's a movie, a TV show. And then I also discuss some trailers that have really caught my attention or that have really piqued my interest in something that's coming up later down the year. Uh, so before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes for you guys. So please don't shy away from sharing your views and engaging in the comments. The mic is mine, the camera is mine, but the show is truly yours, so you can run it the way you want. I'd love to take as many comments as possible, and also while I'm running the stream, I'm kind of running blind here. So in case you feel that there's an issue with the stream, there's a lag with the audio, with the video, anything, please let me know if there's any technical issues so I can sort them out as we go. And finally, please keep it chill, keep it civil, baby. We are here to talk about the things that we absolutely love, the stuff that we actually live for. So please keep it civil. Don't be rude. Basically, don't be an asshole. With that, uh, let's take you on today's show. What is the stuff that we're going to talk about? Here is the format I've tried to establish from my last stream. So, first and foremost, I begin with some of the biggest headlines of the week. Then we head on to the news desk where I go on to those headlines, I go into those news pieces a little more into detail, and then I talk about the feature of the week. So, last week, the biggest thing was Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, and I spoke about that. I gave my review on that movie. I spoke about how that movie made me feel. For this week, I am going to be talking about my expectations from Spider Man Brand New Day. What are the things I'm looking forward to? What are the things that I'm slightly nervous about? After that, we head into the Bard's Take, where I give my take on something that I've just got an opinion on. It's something bigger than just one movie or one TV show or one news piece. It basically is a bigger theme. And from there on, we go straight into a trailer reaction where I talk about the latest trailers that have dropped this week. And man, we have the biggest trailer that dropped this week. And beyond that, there are a lot of other trailers that have really piqued my curiosity. After that, I take your comments and questions, whatever your thoughts. The stage is yours. Whatever you've got a comment, you've got a thought, you've got any questions, I will be taking all of them in this section. And towards the end, I leave you guys with my watch list on things that you can watch this week. It may be related to a theme. Like last week, I did my watch list that was all about epic. So I spoke about Troy and a dozen and a few other movies, not a dozen actually. That's a lot. So this time I'm gonna pick one theme, and that's where my watch list is gonna be from. So without any further delay, let's get into the biggest headlines of the week. The first one that I am really excited about, dude, this has to be one of the bigger ones. I mean, if it wasn't for the announcement that came through this morning, this would have undoubtedly been the biggest headline for me. Ryan Reynolds has confirmed that there is going to be another Deadpool movie, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. The other headline that we've had this week, Kevin Feige's been giving a lot of interviews. He's been giving a lot of very interesting sound bites. The most interesting one out of all of those is that he is in talks to bring Miles Morales to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I am ready, baby. Give it to me right now. Uh, Up next, Ryan Gosling. For those of you who are in the habit of picking up their phone and checking out Instagram first thing in the morning, you know what I'm talking about. Ryan fucking Gosling has just joined MCU as the new Ghost Rider. There's a release date as well for the project, a tentative date. And then we have a new Black Panther as well. David Johnson from The Long Walk has just joined MCU as Panther. And more detail, right? So Ryan Reynolds has confirmed that a new Deadpool movie is in the works now. This is coming to us from Deadline. Ryan Reynolds was recently in an event. I'm just gonna bring up the article here as well, just so it makes it a little easier. You guys can see what is it that I'm exactly talking about. Um, So, according to Deadline, a new Deadpool looks to be in the works at Marvel Studios, with franchise star Ryan Reynolds on board to return. The actor confirmed the news during an appearance over the weekend Fanatics Fest 2026. Sources say the film is currently in early development with no writer or director attached. According to Ryan Reynolds, here's a quote from him: "There's a few really deep cuts that I think are missing behind the movies. I think there's a few deep cuts missing from some of the comics. There's certainly some stuff that, I love that Fabian Nicieza, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, co-creator of Deadpool, wrote. That is incredible. Jerry Dugan, who was a friend, was an incredible comic writer. Ryan Reynolds said on stage during a panel at the New York event, there's stuff upcoming. There's eventually, remotely another Deadpool film. It's going to be great." No further details were given, and Marvel had no comment on the project. The news should come as no surprise following the success of the last film, Deadpool and Wolverine, which, by the way, has been the highest grossing adult rated movie in the history of cinema. That's how big that movie was. It broke box office records for R-rated film. It mentions here bringing in 1.3 billion at the worldwide box office. Okay, so that was the news piece. Now I've got a few opinions on this. Let me just up my slide again. So here's one piece. I think it was last month or a couple of months ago that Ryan Reynolds again gave another interview, and he did mention that he feels that is no longer a solo star and would be a part of ensemble casts. Considering that, I think necessarily be a Deadpool movie or a movie being led by Deadpool. The most likely scenario, in my view, is we know that Marvel's uh, putting its back behind Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. And beyond that, we are going to head into the Mutant Saga. The X-Men are going to come to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And with that, there is a very high likelihood that as soon as we get X-Men, X-Force can't be too far behind. And X-Force comes in, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool is in there. Maybe that's what dreams are made of. That's just my guess. I think that's what it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be an X-Force movie. But Deadpool, of course, is gonna be one of the influential characters in that movie, but only a part of the team, not the solo guy running the movie on his own shoulders. uh, Next news piece that I had was Kevin Feige wants to add Miles Morales Spider-Man to MCU after Spider-Verse films end. We definitely have plans. This is what Kevin Feige said. I'm just gonna bring up this article in a second here. Uh, 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 okay. Yep, there we go. So this one's coming to us from Deadline as well. They're a pretty big name when it comes to pop culture and movies. Um, so after the MCU expanded on Peter Parker's Spider Verse, Kevin Feige hopes to have fan favorite Miles Morales swing by the franchise. The Marvel Studios boss recently teased plans for Spider Man's black alter ego making a live action appearance in a future movie. No, we're not talking about the symbiote. We are talking about Miles Morales, Spider Man from an alternate universe. Uh, Once he's done saving the world in Sony Pictures' animated Spider Verse franchise, which concludes on June 18th, 2027, with Spider Man Beyond the Spider Verse. If there's one movie that disappoints me just as much as Matt Reeves's Batman, it probably has to be this franchise, right? Like the animated Spider-Man movies, they are so good. They're so bloody good, these movies, but they always disappoint because they never really honor their deadlines. So they promise us a date, and then the movie gets pushed by a year, then by another 6 months, then by another 6 months. It's happened with the last movie as well. It's happening with this one as well. So I would be taking this release date with a grain of salt. Nevertheless, the good news is Sony has the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse series, which are very popular and excellent. And Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming out next year, supposedly. Again, take that with a grain of salt. Feige told China's Watching Hollywood. But yes, we definitely have plans for a live action Miles, and I think a live action Spider Man movie has this destiny to add Miles sometime after the Spider Verse series ends. Further in the article, following Miles Morales' big screen debut in Spider Man Into the Spider Verse and Spider Man Across the Spider Verse, Shamik Moore reprises his voice role as the Marvel web slinger in next year's Spider Man Beyond the Spider Verse, which sees Miles trapped in an alternate universe and on the run while trying to save his family. That's a bit about Spider Man No Way Home. That's not really important. I mean, we all know about that movie. Um, Yes, here's a bit. So in Spider-Man No Way Home, there is a dialogue where Electro actually he's talking to Spider-Man, right? And he says somewhere there's bound to be a black Spider-Man. Jamie Foxx said this, and across the world, I'm pretty certain. Like I watched this movie when I was in Melbourne, and there was a collective gasp in the theater because everyone got that Easter egg like immediately. Everyone knew that who was being spoken about. Not to mention the first Spider-Man Homecoming also showed us Miles Morales's uncle Jefferson's brother. I'm just forgetting his real name. So there have been hints. This Spider-Man, this new rebooted Spider-Man, the Tom Holland movies, they've all been dropping these Easter eggs and these hints. Um, they have been hinting at it. Feige further added, we've been thinking and discussing more Spider Man adventures, regardless of agreements or contracts. My production partner, Amy Pascal. Now, this is the lady who heads the Spider-Man division basically at Sony Entertainment, right? So if those conversations are happening and I think by this stage, Sony has also reached a stage where they know that they can't they can't keep a universe running without Spider-Man. They tried that with, the Marvel villains, and we all know how badly that crashed and burned with Madam Web, with God. Even taking those movies name, it scares me, right? It just does something to me. But um the animated movies have been a big success. The PlayStation Spider-Man games have been a massive success. uh so I think Sony has got Spider-Man right. They know how to use Spider-Man to perfection. And if Spider-Man becomes a part of a larger world, a larger universe like the MCU, like we saw with, Civil War, with Infinity War, with Endgame, it definitely helps both the studios, whether that's Disney and Marvel, or it's Sony. So if they're having discussions, I think it's only a matter of time before we actually get to see uh, Miles Morales in a Marvel Cinematic Universe production. Uh, Continuing on, Amy Pascal is already working on it, and we've had in depth discussions about what the next two, three, four, and five Spider Man movies might be about. In 2023, Pascal confirmed that a live action Miles Morales movie was in the works. You will see all of it. It's happening, she told Variety. Uh, so, yes, that was about this piece. But you see, the thing is that when Feige says something, unless it's a blade, it a lot of weight, it carries a lot of merit. Yeah, this news, it puts a spring in my step. I mean, I wouldn't say no to a Miles Morales in MCU if I were to get that tomorrow itself. Like, I know it was a really fast stretch, but I'd prepared myself. Like, there was a 0.25% chance, 0.25% chance that we might have gotten a new Miles Morales, live action Miles Morales for this MCU, for this Marvel Cinematic Universe. It didn't happen. But nevertheless, this is something that I live for. This is something I wake up every day and I prepare myself that this news might drop in any day. Now that the discussions are going on, I think it's only a matter of time that this reality. Moving on, this was the biggest bombshell that was dropped, not just this morning, but in this year's San Diego Comic Con. And dare I say, it is one of the biggest drops to have ever happened in San Diego Comic Con, right? Like, the biggest movie star of this generation, Ryan Gosling, he takes the stage at San Diego Comic Con at Hall H, which is like the most prestigious presentation in all of Comic Con, which also happens to be like the biggest pop culture event in the world. During a Marvel presentation, Ryan Gosling takes the stage, and suddenly it's announced that he is going to be playing Ghost Rider. I have quite a few thoughts here. But before that, uh, let me just open up the article as well. Dude, I really feel like I gotta figure out a way where I don't have to stop my screen share and just seamlessly transition into, um, the news article. Um, but here we go. This is on the Marvel website. Um, Deadpool and Wolverine filmmaker Sean Levy will direct the new film, announced during Marvel's Hall H panel at San Diego Comic Con. Now, for those of you who may not be aware, Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy are already working on another project under the Disney umbrella, but in a galaxy far, far away. Ryan Gosling is starring in this little movie called Starfighter that exists in the universe of Star Wars, which is being directed by Sean Levy. Uh, Firstly, it's a positive sign. It's a great sign. It means that a director and an actor have a great working relationship, uh, which means that at some stage, maybe Sean Levy, he gained some leverage, no pun intended, that he wanted to work with. Ryan Gosling on this one. And of course, when it's one of the biggest Hollywood stars going around the circuit right now, who would say no to that? But let's get into the article. Start your engines during Marvel Studios' blockbuster Hall H panel at San Diego Comic Con 2026. Marvel Studio President Kevin Feige announced that a new Ghost Rider film is in development, hitting theaters in 2028. Um, that's next to next year. Ryan Gosling will star as the titular motorcycle riding hero with Sean Levy directing. Feige joked that he's long been asked about when Ghost Rider and Gosling might be joining the MCU. He then introduced the actor who stepped on stage to raucous cheers. Wow, is this really happening? The actor told the crowd. As you know, this is a character I've wanted to play for a very long time. Gosling then told the audience that the only one director could bring Ghost Rider to the screen, welcoming Levy to the stage. The two are currently working together on the upcoming Star Wars Starfighter, which is scheduled to come in theaters on 28th of May next year. And Levy told the crowd that he and Gosling spend a lot of their downtime on set daydreaming about Ghost Rider and swapping ideas. As Ryan started talking about his vision for this character, we started riffing, said Levy, who previously directed Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine. And finally said, Bro, let's ride. So, guys, we'll see you in 2028. Um, that is all about it. That kind of covers it. But what are my thoughts on this? I did say, like, this is a news piece that I'm really excited about. Like, sorry, just got to make sure that my background's fine, right? There was a rumor going around earlier this year or late last year that Ryan Gosling is in talks, or he's approached Marvel Studios to um to act in a certain MCU project. No one really knew what it was, but uh there was the name Ghost Rider that popped up somewhere during that entire rumor thing. So this wasn't a total surprise for me. um when there's where there's smoke, there's got to be fire. That's what I believe in. So if there was a rumor, there had to be something which sparked that rumor. And the only thing that surprised me from all of this was I wasn't expecting this news to come through in this Comic Con. Like, I was if you haven't, I did a stream last week as well where I gave some of my expectations from San Diego Comic Con. I was expecting there to be some Doomsday footage. I was expecting the trailer to drop during Comic Con, but Marvel beat me just by 4 days. They dropped the trailer 4 days before Comic Con kicked off. Um, and I was expecting some details from Secret Wars, maybe some cast announcement for the X-Men. So my brain was on that track, right? I wasn't expecting that Ghost Rider would be announced this early on, and it seems like things are already on track. If they've got a release date, if they've said that this movie is going to drop in 2028, um, I think they're being pretty realistic. They would be pretty confident with where they are in terms of the creative vision, the production of it all, and everything, that they were able to give a tentative release date. So I'm really excited about this. Ryan Gosling, again, he is such a talented actor. Um I've recently started understanding what all the hype was about, because here's a guy who's worked in a rom-com. He's done pure out and out romantic drama, he's done action movies, he's done um, a futuristic cyberpunk movie. He's 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 played Ken. He's played Ken in the Barbie movie. Like, that is the range of this guy. So obviously I am very excited about this. um is he better or worse than Nicolas Cage? I don't think that that comparison is really fair to him, because Nicolas Cage had a certain image that he'd built, with movies like Gone in 60 Seconds and Con Air, uh, the whole deal. Nicolas Cage did not exactly sell himself as the biker dude from the first frame, but I would be lying if I said I did not enjoy those those original Ghost Rider movies. They were so bad. They were so corny and so cheesy, but yet so fun at the same time. And we all know how great an artist, how talented an artist Nicolas Cage is. Um, and I think Ryan Gosling, he's got the acting chops. He's got the talent to really own this role for himself. Um, so I think he's going to be really good, even as a biker dude. I think just looking at him in that movie where he plays the stunt guy, the fall guy, yeah, the fall guy. That's it. Um, so I am really excited. I think Ryan Gosling is such a great fit for this role. He can play a really mean guy, uh, can look like the biker dude. So I am all up for it. Then the final news piece that we have today, ladies and gentlemen, Black Panther is back. We've got our next Black Panther. Uh, After the untimely demise of the legendary Chadwick Boseman, right? Ryan Coogler and team, they decided that they would not um, they would not have another actor play T'Challa, and instead they passed on the mantle of Black Panther to Shuri. Now, don't get me wrong, Shuri is a great character. She's a fantastic, interesting yet funny and witty character. I loved her in the first Black Panther movie, but I just felt like she did not uh, she did not work out well for me in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, right? Uh, her as Black Panther just felt like um I don't know, it just did not feel settled, right? uh I I gotta say I did not like Wakanda Forever as much as I liked the first Black Panther, because the first Black Panther is just amazing, and that movie just keeps aging so well with the times. I was a little skeptical. I was a little worried as well. Like, how would this go on? Because to be honest, it is such a big call to say that here's a character that has existed in comics for decades, right? And we are just going to decommission this character from the movies, uh, just because of our love for the actor. Because I also believe in this other philosophy, which especially holds true for showbiz. It's come from showbiz itself, which is that the show must go on. And as legendary as Chadwick Boseman was, he would have wanted the Black Panther franchise to have, to go on uh, long after he was gone. But towards the end of Wakanda Forever, they showed us in a post credit scene or a mid credit scene that T'Challa also had a son with Nakia. Now, this dude right here, David Johnson, he would be taking on the mantle of the Black Panther. Um, for those of you who are not aware with who the guy is, I'm just gonna bring up the answer. And it's really confusing, man. Mm. Yep. So this one's again coming at us from Marvel.com. Ryan Coogler announces third Black Panther film. David Johnson to star. Just announced at Marvel Studios Hall H panel. David Johnson joins Ryan Coogler's third Black Panther film as its titular hero. Wakanda Forever. Ryan Coogler took the stage during Marvel Studios' massive Hall H panel at SDCC 2026, where he revealed that he will be returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe to direct a third Black Panther film exclusively in theaters on December 15th, 2028. So we've got 2.5 years, give or take. Joined by Letitia Wright, aka Shuri, and Winston Duke, aka Mbaku, Kugler announced that David Johnson from The Long Walk and Alien Romulus will be the new Black Panther in the upcoming film. I've got to talk to you about The Long Walk, but we'll come to that in just a second. Upon introducing Johnson, Kugler shared further details about the character he'll be playing. The last time we got to make a movie, we introduced a character who is the son of the character that the great Chadwick Boseman played, R. T'Challa, in that film. And today, I want to tell you that in his next film, he grows up and he comes of age. Johnson stepped out to a standing ovation from the crowd. I want to say thank you so much, he told the audience. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you to this amazing family that I have the honor and the privilege and the blessing to join. I actually don't want to say too much because I want to let the screen do the talking. But believe me, the honor is entirely mine. Uh, Cooper first brought Wakanda to screen with 2018's Black Panther starring Post Minister T'Challa and 2022 sequel Wakanda Forever starring Wright as Shuri. The award-winning filmmaker also co-produced the 2025 Marvel series Ironheart. Yeah, you guys can call me. Um, you guys can say whatever you want. I did not watch Ironheart. I was never really interested in that project from the beginning. And Eyes of Wakanda, which I did watch. I felt like it was decent, not all that great. But coming back, this is the David Johnson. In the history of cinema, especially in the history of big franchise, especially comic book movies, and even more specifically, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there have been big names, and then there have been names that no one's ever heard of. David Johnson is that name that not a lot of people have heard of. Trust me, Romulus was a decent movie. He had a decent performance, but The Long Walk is something that truly got my attention. This guy truly got my attention because the movie on the surface itself was so complicated, with so many complicated emotions, such a complicated theme, and every character was so complex in its own way, and how through the complexities these characters are interacting with each other, right? And don't forget, I've also done a proper review of The Long Walk on my channel. So if you've got a bit of time, I'm gonna drop the link to it here, or link it in one of the cards up here if you're watching this video later. Strongly recommend, definitely watch that movie. But there were a lot of strong acting performances in that movie, but truth be told, I really was sold out on David Johnson. His character, how complex he was, his backstory, uh how he's a nice guy, to a fault. uh, I really developed a soft corner for his character in that movie, and I really wanted to see this actor play some big roles, play in some big movies. And dude, I couldn't have been happier. Like, he's not the biggest celebrity on the circuit. There was mention of Damson Idris as well, from the Formula One movie that dropped last year. Again, he's a fantastic artist. That was a fantastic movie. But for some reason, I just feel like this just looks like a better fit. Like, not throwing any shade on Damson Idris. I love him. I'd really be looking forward to him in in any of the upcoming projects. But I feel like Johnson is such a good fit for this role, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. So, um, those were all the news pieces, and now let's move on to the next thing, which is the feature of the week. Now, in this section of our live stream, I talk about the biggest thing that's dropped this week, or the biggest thing that's that's dropping in the coming week. In this case, last week when I did feature of the week, I spoke about Odyssey because Friday I went to watch the Odyssey, and then Sunday I do this live stream, right? And this time, my feature of the week is one of the most anticipated movies of the year, a movie about one of the most popular superheroes in the world. Like, people, even people who don't know about superheroes at all, know about this character. And I'm talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Bro, I've said this a lot of times on the channel. My favorite superhero is a tie. I don't have one. It's a tie between Spidey and Batman. And Spidey, I think, has reached a level, Marvel, Sony, everyone's milked Spider-Man to a level where, he's almost replaced Mickey Mouse as the mascot for Disney, right? And that's saying something. With the merchandise, with uh how many content streams are coming out of this one character alone. um Considering this right now, Spider-Man's got two animated shows, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and Spider-Man and Friends, the one that's made for kids. So you've got two of those. You've got the Tom Holland movies, the live action movies. You've got the animated Miles Morales Spider-Verse movies, which, yes, it is Miles Morales. It's not Peter Parker front and center, but still, it's a Spider-Man movie. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing out on something here. Yes, the Sony PlayStation games, the Spider-Man games. Spider-Man is all the rage right now. Uh, but you know what the beauty is? In spite of so much Spider-Man coming our way, uh, I'm just going to talk about myself here. I still haven't reached my saturation point because everything that we've been getting from the world of Spider-Man is just such high quality stuff that I kind of find myself looking forward to whatever's new that's coming from Spider-Man. So, uh, see, it's a big deal when you've got one live action stream that's running, you've got two animated shows running, you've got a game, and you've got an animated movie, the Spider-Verse movies. uh, it's a big deal, and none of them bring all of them exactly the same amount of hype, the same amount of excitement. It speaks to the quality of Spider-Man right now. But what are my expectations from Spider-Man Brand New Day? Let's get into that. Let's talk. So, first thing, right? The John Watts trilogy was, I'd like to say, it was the high school trilogy. Like, we saw Peter Parker still coming to terms with his powers, still coming to terms with what it is to be a superhero. Um, how can he pick and choose his battles? So we saw Peter Parker at a different stage in his life, right? Like, when he was still a high school student, he could afford to make mistakes. With this one, I feel like we are getting into the young adult Peter Parker stage of a story, right? Um, I was reading somewhere that this movie's got a time jump. Even in the trailer, you see that where Ned is streaming, right? Ned and MJ, they're streaming, and Spidey's Peter Parker's watching their story on his phone, the live stream on the phone. They say that they're in the final semester of MIT. So if Spider-Man No Way Home came out in 21, 22, uh, it sounds about fair that they are towards the fag end of their uni. Uh, so this is a Spidey who's been fighting it out all by himself for 4 to 5 years, all by himself. He's an adult. He lives a life with consequences. He would be having rent troubles. He would be having um, other big boy problems, bills to pay, jobs to keep, um, all of that. So that is something that I'm really excited about, because until now And I'm not saying I hated that. I loved that aspect as well. I loved watching Peter, his interactions with Aunt May, how he was interacting with his fellow classmates, with his friends at school. um, how did fame backfire for him? So I loved all of that. But in life, all of us, you know we go through our changes, and that's why I feel like this is really fun. It's gonna be a nice watch. um yeah. Also, I felt like, this Peter Parker. Now I'm skipping a point here. Probably I'm skipping the more street level action because I just felt like these go organically together. So Peter finding his own finally. I wrote that because in the first three movies, he's kind of got support in some way, shape, or form, right? Like in the first one, it's Tony Stark. In the second one, it's Mysterio or Nick Fury. In the third one, it's the other Spider-Man. Sorry, spoiler alert. If you didn't know, yes, Spider-Man No Way Home has all three live action Spider-Man. But if you didn't know this already, dude, what rock have you been living under? But um, with the first three, it always felt like this Peter Parker, this Spider-Man was playing second fiddle in his own movies to another character, right? Sorry, I'm just gonna take a second here. I'm just um, pouring some juice for myself. All right, this is awkward. I still got to keep talking about Spider-Man, which is not a problem at all. Uh, but in this movie, it feels like Peter's been um, fighting on his own for long enough that he's finally found who he is, or at least he's trying to find out who he is, right? Without having to fight under someone else's shadow. I know this movie's got the Punisher, this movie's got the Hulk, this movie's got Sadie Sink in an unrevealed character, which a lot of people are saying could be Jean Grey. But recently something's happened and I've just started feeling like it may not be Jean Grey. So I'm not assuming. I'm not sticking with that assumption anymore. I'm just keeping an open mind. uh, but we see a Peter Parker who's defining what being a hero means, on his own, without having to rely on anyone else, which is, uh, I think it's really exciting. It goes with uh, the stage of life that he's in. Uh, there is definitely more street level action in this one. I mean, No Way Home was a multiversal thing, but this one, I know it's got a really big roster of villains as well. But even then, I don't really think it's gonna be a multiversal movie. There's the Boomerang, there's Tombstone, there's Tarantula, there is suspectedly there is gonna be Mr. Negative in this movie. Um, there is Damage Control, there is um Scorpion, there is the Hand. So like there are a lot of villains in this movie, but all of them, they feel pretty grounded, like pretty ground level criminals, which is really fantastic, which is really amazing. I mean, not every Spider-Man adventure has to be a multiversal odyssey. I'd be down for this. Again, this connects to my point about Peter finding his own finally. That this Peter seems ruthless, angry, and dejected. About the ruthlessness and the anger, I spoke about this in my trailer breakdown that I did for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Um, so the second trailer that was dropped for this movie, I did a proper recorded video where I spoke about, like, the entire trailer frame by frame. The way this Spidey beat the shit out of Scorpion. Um, this feels like, yeah, this Spidey doesn't hold his punches. Uh, which again is it's very interesting because Spidey is someone, Peter Parker's someone who's been a nice guy all his life, but suddenly he feels shortchanged. He feels like life just keeps dealing him an unfair hand, and that frustration, it started, it started coming to the surface. um I think it's a very interesting character development from my point of view, so I'd really be down for it. um there is one thing that I'm suspecting is going to happen in this movie. um there was a rumor going around. Again, I don't know if I should share this rumor or not, because if it turns out to be true, I don't want anyone coming after me saying that I've spoiled anything. But it's just a rumor. It's just a rumor that I saw on social media myself. But I have a feeling that someone's dying in this movie. I don't know who it is, but I don't know. This trailer just gives me that feeling that there is gonna be a character who's gonna die, right? And like, that's gonna build up into something bigger, into a bigger emotional shift or a bigger character shift in this movie. Now, the final point, my final expectation from Spider-Man Brand New Day, right? Uh, this is no hyperbole. I really believe it. I have started feeling it. I feel like this has the potential to be the highest grossing Spider-Man movie ever. Now, I'll tell you what, right? The movie opened its ticket sales about 5 weeks before the release of this movie, right? And that would mean like the third or the fourth week of June. The trailer drops. I'm making the video. I'm like, I'll make the video and then I'll book my ticket, because the tickets announcement was with the trailer itself. So I'm like, yeah, I'll book my ticket as well, right? I did my recording. Would have taken about an hour. I go on to the Inox PVR app to look up tickets for this movie. Bro, the seats were gone. I barely managed to find a seat for myself. They were gone. Um, if it's like a 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock show in the morning, yes, you may find seats for that. You might have found seats for that, but nothing that was in the peak hours, right? Because I'd say 11 o'clock in the morning onwards, everything was just gone. Um, so the amount of tickets that this movie sold just from pre-sales is, it's pointing in the direction that this movie is gonna make a load of money, a big load of money. Um, and yeah, I think it's fair. It's fair. Like, Spider-Man being the most popular superhero in the world right now, making the most amount of money only seems fair. Um, there is a bit of a debate also going around, like, would Spider-Man Brand New Day make more money than Avengers Doomsday or less money than Avengers Doomsday? I've got my thoughts, but I'm gonna hold back on that because, of course, your boy has to keep creating more videos and he's got to keep churning out more live streams. So that is a topic for another day. But really, my bones that this would be the highest grossing Spider-Man movie ever. Okay, down. Now let's get into the next section, which is the bard stake, where I just pick up like or a theme and I share my views and my opinions, right? And in this section, what I talk about is not just about one movie or about uh, you know a TV series or whatever, right? Like, this is a bigger conversation. Uh, so this week, my take is, how has MCU perfected the San Diego Comic Con game? Like, last week when I announced in my live stream that I'm going to be talking about Comic Con and I'm going to be talking about um, everything that happened in Comic Con, whether that was from DC, from PlayStation, from Amazon, from Marvel. I took all of those names. And truth be told, those names were on my run sheet until this morning. And then I had to make a whole lot of changes. And before I even realized, my entire show just became about Marvel today. And that made me wonder that what does Marvel do differently, uh, which almost makes it feel like half the world is only following the San Diego Comic Con for Marvel to know what's happening at Marvel, what's the next big announcement. Um, I mean, yes, people are excited about DC, about Prime Video, about Netflix, about all of these, right? But no one really owns San Diego Comic Con the way Marvel Cinematic Universe does. I mean, think about it. Some of the biggest Comic Con moments have all come from Marvel. Whether it was the Robert Downey Jr. reveal as Doctor Doom, whether it was the first Endgame trailer, whether it was the Hulkbuster scene. Uh, they've really owned San Diego Comic Con. Any year that they've come to do Hall H, even when they announced Mahershala Ali as Blade, which was part of the run sheet, but then I had to remove it because I had more positive news to talk about. Um, so, why is it that DC dropped a couple of trailers? They gave some interviews, they had a panel. We've got some interesting game trailers. God of War Laufey. That new trailer's come out as well. But why is it that nothing captures the attention? Nothing grabs the headlines at San Diego Comic Con the way Marvel Cinematic Universe does. Now, the first point here is their long term planning. Marvel's understood this years before any other studio that Comic Con starts before Comic Con does. And here's an example, right? So, when I did my live stream last week, I suspected that they were gonna they were gonna release the trailer for Avengers Doomsday at San Diego Comic Con. I mean, the stage was set, but they did not. They dropped the trailer 3 days before San Diego Comic Con because they were like, okay, everyone knows this movie's coming out. People have already watched the tiny teasers that we've been dropping since December last year. Um, the leaks have started coming through. It's time to drop this trailer. And this trailer does not become its own thing. This is the trailer that reels people in, that brings people back into the fold of Marvel, that brings people back to San Diego Comic Con, that makes them want to attend the Hall H panel at San Diego Comic Con. And that's exactly what happened. Like, in my view, the Doomsday trailer would have been the biggest thing, but they decided that they were going to drop that thing before the big event itself, so during the event they could drop like two or three surprises, which is going to build the excitement even more. And that's exactly what happened, because of the Doomsday trailer, everyone reached Comic Con and everyone's expecting something to come out of Comic Con, out of Doomsday. And they did. Yes, they showed the cast. They were on the stage. uh, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool did his own little act at Hall H. But they dropped these nuggets in the form of uh a new Black Panther, uh a new Ghost Rider. So Marvel's really far-sighted when it comes to that, and I mean it in a good way, right? Except for the Blade fiasco, because that is where the far-sightedness actually came to bite them in the ass. The Blade announcement was premature, but also Marvel at that point in time was, um it was just going through so much that uh, everything was messed up. That was the Lord Chapek era. And Kevin Feige recently also said in an interview that he feels like a loser after not being able to get the Mahershala Ali played off the road. But for the most part, Marvel's been pretty good with it. They have, they've planned their release slates pretty much in advance. They line them up in a way that nothing feels like it's being short sold. Uh, so that's something that's something that gives Marvel that edge. The other thing, it's kind of connected, but it's also different in its own way, is that Marvel hijacks all the headlines, whether that's dropping hints, building anticipation, reeling people in. Again, it connects because this again is like long term planning. But when I was researching for today's live stream about the things that I can talk about, things that I should talk about, I really had to search. When it came to other studios and other panels and other actors and the whole thing, the other franchises as well, um, for the news pieces. But even if there was a news piece, it was immediately connected with something Marvel related. So Kevin Feige also, because Spider-Man Brand New Day is about to release, he's on a press tour. But apart from the press tour as well, he started giving a lot of interviews. Suddenly, he's come into, um, eh, he's come back into the public life, um, dropping these nuggets, whether it is about, what's his name, about Adam Driver, for a potential X-Men role, whether how he feels about whatever went down with the Blade movie, uh, how Marvel's got an entire lineup of titles decided up till 2042 or 2052. I'm just forgetting the exact number. Basically, this guy is just going everywhere. Even the Miles Morales nugget that we spoke about earlier in the live stream. So suddenly, Miles Morales, sorry, Kevin Feige, my bad, Ryan Reynolds, all of these other people, they've started giving these interviews. They've started capturing the headlines. They've started capturing the real estate when it comes to news and media. Um, so suddenly, the entire wave becomes everything about Marvel rather than any other studio, which is something that Marvel's done pretty well. And they start accelerating right before San Diego Comic Con. So when they start dropping these nuggets in press and media, suddenly they build that anticipation that if they are dropping these nuggets before Comic Con has even begun, what do they have in store for us? Now, this connects to my third point, the final point, is they hold their cards close. Listen up, man. Everybody loves a surprise. Even the people who say, I don't like surprises, they love a good surprise. And the other thing is that size really doesn't matter. Size really doesn't matter. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But let's talk about the first one. Everybody loves a surprise. Bro, hand on your heart. Did you really feel that Ryan Gosling's Ghost Rider or Black Panther or a new Black Panther is a bigger news headline than the Avengers Doomsday trailer? It's not. I still believe Avengers Doomsday was the bigger news piece. It was the bigger headline. But they decided that they can give the bigger reveal to the world to bring their audience even closer. So these surprises, yes, there were rumors about a new Black Panther. There was a new rumor about um, Ryan Gosling. A lot of rumors that go around Marvel, right? Uh, some turn out to be true, some don't. But those that that things that people haven't been expecting really, when that happens at Hall H, suddenly everyone falls in love with Marvel a little more. And that's exactly what happened. Size really doesn't matter. This again holds true for that entire thing, that they decided to drop a bigger bomb before Comic Con and then two smaller bombs during Comic Con, um, to keep everyone happy. So everyone feels like they're part of the Marvel community. Um, so these are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Why do you think Marvel captures all the headlines, does so much better than all the other studios, even DC? Please drop them in the comments below. And I just want to quickly say here, I was expecting some things from DC this year, apart from Lanterns and Clayface. Um, I'm I'm a little disappointed from DC for this Comic Con, and I'm getting worried now. I'm really getting worried about DC with sorry. Um, I'm really getting worried about. Okay, I gotta change that. Um, yeah, I've really started getting worried about DC, because we haven't gotten any big headlines, we haven't gotten any big news pieces. Nothing noteworthy, nothing about Man of Tomorrow, no new casting announcements, absolutely nothing. So I am a little worried about DC. And not to forget the entire fiasco that's going on with Paramount and the different state governments and even international governments putting a pause on the Paramount Warner Brothers merger. It's a lot of cloud over DC right now. So I'm worried. I A part of me is mentally, emotionally preparing myself that DC might be as good as over right now. But that's about it. We've got a few other things to talk about, so I really need to rush right now. So, um, trailer reaction. Yes, we've had some big week. Some have come at Comic Con. Some dropped right before Comic Con. The first one, the biggest one that's dropped right before Comic Con, is Avengers Doomsday. That's releasing on the 18th of December 2026. Uh, Let me put this out here, right? Being very honest, very sincere, I want to do a full on trailer breakdown video. Uh, so because I just feel like I wouldn't be able to do justice to the trailer, and all the details that it carried in just this live stream. Uh, so keep your eye out. I would be traveling over the next few days, so I may not get enough stability to really record and edit a video. But keep an eye out. Hopefully, I should be able to push it out by sometime next week. But my thoughts on the Avengers Doomsday trailer, bro. First things first, I was just relieved, because those who went to CinemaCon, industry experts, movie pundits, all of them who went to CinemaCon, they actually got a look at the Avengers Doomsday trailer there. And people like John Campier, they'd actually been building up for quite some time that they saw the trailer. It looks really good. It's just a matter of time before um, it drops online. So it was a long time coming, but I really feel like they waited a bit too long. I was kind of preparing myself that the Doomsday trailer might actually be dropping at the end of Spider-Man Brand New Day, maybe as a post credit scene. But they've been kind to us. They dropped it before San Diego Comic Con. Now, I am relieved finally that this trailer is out, finally, that I've got to see it. Uh, it gives me faith that yes, this movie is really happening. It's truly happening. This movie will really exist. It will really release. Apart from that, I felt like this movie felt a bit like child's play. Uh, I'll tell you how. when we were young, like that was the case with me, right? So I've got all of these action figures. I've got a Superman action figure as well. I've got a Superman figure actually. I put it in the display behind, but I didn't really figure out my angle, so now you can't see it. I'll probably post a picture later on. But whether it was Mystique versus Yelena, whether it was Gambit versus Shang-Chi, uh, those fight scenes, yes, they're interesting. They look fun. The fight choreography is definitely going to be top notch. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I think those quick snappy cuts, they didn't really do it for me. I think from this trailer, my expectation was to get a bit more dialogue. Just don't tell me the whole thing. Don't tell me what the movie's all about. Even though I know the source material, you don't have to tell me what the movie's about. But at least get me invested. Through dialogue or whatever. uh, I know that characters are gonna come face to face. They're gonna be characters who are gonna meet for the first time. There's gonna be characters who are gonna become best buds. There's characters who are gonna end up punching each other in the face. I mean, that's the reality of a movie called Doomsday and Secret Wars. But yeah, I think for me it was just more of a relief. I don't feel like it's the best Avengers trailer or the best MCU trailer that we've ever had. And there have been some great ones. There have been some fantastic ones. Even the Avengers Endgame trailer was so good. The Spider-Man trailers have been phenomenal through and through. Uh, Captain America Civil War, Captain America the Winter Soldier, all of these great trailers, Guardians of the Galaxy. There are so many of them. This one wasn't the best. So I'm just gonna say I was relieved that this was out. Uh, I did have another thing that I wanted to talk about in this trailer. Um, yes. This was an important one for me. So in the MCU, when we're not talking about what's his name, in the MCU, if it's not Spider-Man, my second favorite character is not Iron Man. Thor comes pretty close, but it's Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers is my absolute favorite character in the MCU. Um, from Captain America, the first Avenger, from the first Avengers movie, I've just been in love with this character. How grounded he is, how adamant he is at times. Even in Civil War, while everyone was doing Team Cap and Team Iron Man, I was Team Cap from day one. Like I was one of the warmongers who was baying for blood in the name of Captain America, right? In this trailer, please uh, tell me if you agree with me or you disagree with me, right? But something felt off about the Steve Rogers. Uh, there's a theory that he might actually be Captain Hydra, which I feel is a possibility. Yes, going through different universes, again, a multiversal adventure. It is a possibility, but there's something very creepy about that Steve Rogers, and especially keeping in mind that the tiny Captain America teaser that we got for Avengers Doomsday, which was the first one, which came right before Avatar Fire and Ash in December last year. That Captain America or that Steve Rogers felt like the Steve Rogers that we know, but the Steve Rogers that we got in this trailer just felt off. I'm not exactly able to put my finger on it, but something is off. Um, Something very creepy. Thoughts? Please drop them in the comments. The next trailer I want to talk about is Coyote versus Acme. That's releasing on the 28th of August, 2026. Um, I think a lot of you would already be familiar with Coyote, Wiley Coyote. He is the guy who's always after the Roadrunner in Looney Tunes. um, one of my favorite characters. Like, I honestly enjoy Roadrunner and Coyote far more than I enjoy Tom and Jerry. um, so Warner Brothers produced this movie, but then they were about to shelve this movie, and they decided that, let's call in for bids. If there's a distributor who would take this movie off our hands, just pay us for the production of this movie. And there's this studio, this thing called Ketchup Studios, who decided to bid for it. uh Got a pretty decent deal on it. They're going to be distributing this movie. Now, the theme of this movie, if the name doesn't already give it away, is that Wiley Coyote has been using Acme products for years and years and years, trying to catch the Roadrunner. But every single time, the the products backfire. uh, they either injure him or they don't work. The whole thing. So then Wiley Coyote sees this ad play on his TV about a lawyer um, who write up name calls Acme and says that they're a bad company. They make substandard products. They're profiteering from inferior products. And Coyote basically goes up to this lawyer, and then it's a whole courtroom drama. Just the premise itself, just the concept, and I was sold. Like, okay, I did not watch the last couple of Looney Tunes movies. I loved Space Jam, but after that, nothing really caught my attention to that level. But for this movie, just for the sheer concept, man, I was in. I was like, I want to watch this movie. The problem is, this movie is going to get a limited release in the US. I'm not yet certain how many screens it's going to get in India, if it even gets released in India. But man, I really want this movie to be released in India so I can watch it, I can enjoy it. Um, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a laugh riot. I'm going to have such a good time. And if all of this wasn't already enough to sell this movie to me, it has my favorite wrestler, and in my view, the the greatest um the greatest wrestler who the wrestler who turned into the best comedian, Mr. John Cena. You can't see him. His comic timing, like, it's really come through with the Suicide Squad, or with the Peacemaker, and he plays the role of the CEO of Acme in this movie. And dude, I'm sold on this movie already. Like, I always say I can't wait for this movie to come out. But with this one, there is an asterisk as well, that I really hope that this movie finds a few screens in India, and at least one of them is close to where I live, because I really want to go for this movie. So that was Coyote versus Acme. That's releasing on the 28th of August 2026. The next trailer that we got was the DC Lanterns trailer. This was released at San Diego Comic Con. Um, this is not a movie. Let me repeat, this is not a movie. This is gonna be a TV show. It's gonna have episodes, approximately hour-long episodes, 8 to 10, I'm suspecting at this point. To be honest, the Lanterns trailers, um, they haven't really given me anything to be that excited about. Like, uh, the characters don't have as many lines. The visuals, the graphics, the premise. There have been a fair share of teasers and trailers that have come out for this show, but I don't really know enough about it to have me buy into this show, right? The only thing that makes me buy into it is that A, it's DC, B, it's an HBO production, and HBO, as we all know, are the best in the business. Whether it's the new Harry Potter series that's going to be coming out later this year, whether it's The Penguin that they dropped, I think, a couple of years ago. um, the entire Game of Thrones lore, that's all done by HBO. Silicon Valley, one of my favorite comedy shows of all time, that's all HBO Max. So that's the only thing that's gotten me excited for this. Apart from that, um, yeah, I don't think any trailer really did much for me. There were a couple of things that really stood out for me in this trailer. One is that we get a first look at Sinestro, who's like the main Green Lantern villain in the lore of Green Lantern. So that's exciting. That's exciting. At least knowing that there's a villain on the show that we're familiar with um, is exciting enough for me. The other thing is that there's a name that pops up in the last quarter of the trailer, about 3 or 4 times, and the name is Manhunters. Manhunters who can shapeshift, they hunt men, they're not from this planet. So you've got these kind of lines dropping around that one word. And the first time in this trailer I heard the word Manhunter, my brain immediately went to Martian Manhunter, because he's one of the core members of the Justice League, right? So we've got Superman, we've got Green Lanterns now, and if there is a Martian Manhunter in this show, uh, I think we're well on our way to setting up the Justice League. Um, Sadly, we're still missing two very important, very key members of the Justice League in the form of a Wonder Woman and a Batman. But yeah, I should learn not to complain and just have gratitude for whatever I'm getting. So if we get Martian Manhunter in this show, I think that's going to be really good. Apart from that, the trailer didn't really do a lot for me, but the show is releasing on the 17th of August 2026 in India. 17th of August is for India. You can start streaming the episodes on Geo Hotstar, and I'm suspecting similar to the Peacemaker, the episodes are going to drop weekly. So if you want to watch it, uh, one episode per week, you can start from the 17th, or you can wait for a few weeks and then just binge watch the whole thing, whatever works for you. The final trailer that I want to talk about, let me confirm. Yeah, that's the final that I want to talk about, is Clayface. Bro, I've said it enough times. This show is literally Golu's wet dream, a Batman villain, and the show is written by one of his all-time favorite horror writers. The first trailer, I'm not gonna lie, was pretty scary. Like when I watched that first trailer, and it doesn't help that I watched it at what, half past midnight or something like that, uh, in my study with all the lights turned off. Um, don't ask me why I have all the lights turned off in my study. I swear I wasn't doing anything weird. Um, but there was so many jump scares. There was so many scary visuals in that first trailer, that I was really excited for this movie. I'm still excited, but with this trailer, I think the only shortcoming has been that it's kind of given away the entire story of this movie. Like, I could just piece together the whole thing. There's an actor, you know he's got a few loan sharks coming after him. He's got to pay off some people, and when he can't, they actually ruin his face. And then he decides to go for an experimental surgery, and that experimental surgery just kind of backfires. And now this dude is angry, so he goes after the doctor. He goes after the loan sharks, the criminals that were after him, that ruined his face. And basically, this guy's just started losing his mind. Um, Pretty run of the mill story. So yeah, that's one thing which was a negative for me. Like, I would have loved for the new trailer to be a bit more vague, to be a bit more non-linear, um, to give us more visuals that were scary rather than just giving us the entire plot of this movie. But nevertheless, I think it's still a decent trailer. I'm still gonna watch this movie. Not my most anticipated, but I think it's still gonna be fine. It's still gonna be decent. Um, if they decide to show us the DCU Batman for the first time at the end of this movie, yes, that's going to sell a lot more tickets. But even if they don't, I'm still going to go and watch it. Uh, so if you've watched any of these trailers, which one was your favorite? Which one did you absolutely love? Which one were kind of on the fence with? Which one didn't do anything for you? Whatever your thoughts, please drop them in comments. And after that, this is the where I take your live comments and questions. Um, but unfortunately, it's been running for quite some time. It's been a pretty long show, so I won't be able to take any questions. Also, if I'm being honest, there haven't been there haven't been any questions. That I can talk about really in the stream. So we're going to the next section, which is the TMB watch list. So at the end of every live stream, I do a watch list of things that you can watch this week. Basically, what I'm trying to do here is that the watch list that I give in my stream is it originates from a larger theme from my live stream. So like last week, the larger theme was Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. So in my watch list, all the movies were these epics, from Greek and Roman mythology, and from that era basically. So for this week, the bigger theme has been Marvel, but even for me personally, the bigger theme has been Spider-Man. So this week's watch list for you is Spider-Man, and here is the best of the best that you can watch when it comes to Spider-Man. Um, so I've got four animated shows for you, and I've got three movies. I've tried as fair as I can be. I've kept my emotions aside. The first one that I got to talk about, and I'm just gonna go and start with the animated shows. Um, Also, let me put this out there. I think Spider-Man has the best animated shows of any comic book characters, period. I challenge you to tell me any other character or team that has had so many good things that you could pop on a watch list. So coming back, the first one is the Spectacular Spider-Man. um this show came to a premature end, but it was pretty fun. Like, it's not my favorite, I'm gonna be honest about it. It's not my favorite, but I think it's still pretty good, still pretty decent. um Took a few liberties. The animation style was a little off for me, but overall it's still a show that I enjoyed watching. It still holds that rewatch value for me, that when I don't know what to watch, I can pop this without giving it too much of thought. So yeah, it's a fun watch. If you haven't already, I think you should give it a watch. Next up is Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, I've watched everything there is on Spider-Man, and in the animated space, even though the shows from the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, I have, trust me. Ultimate Spider-Man, in my view, is the best animated Spider-Man show ever. There's not even a debate here. uh Definitely give it a watch. Um you get to see these other characters, the young defenders, so to speak. You get to see Nova, you get to see White Tiger, um Power Man, all these characters. Plus the humor in this show is just off the charts. You can just pop it on, and you would be hooked. Like, it again has a very strong rewatch value for me. If you haven't watched it, strongly recommended. The next one is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. uh this is a Marvel Studios production. This is a Disney Plus production, unlike all the others. This one is a through and through Disney product. that was made to release on Disney Plus. It's had one season. The second season's been greenlit. It's expected to drop sometime this year, and it's great. It's taken a lot of creative liberties. I'm not going to lie to you. It's taken a lot of creative liberties. It's deviated from certain things. I mean, it starts uh feeling like it exists in the same world as Tom Holland Spider-Man, but then it deviates, and from that point on it just becomes its own thing. But it's a great show. The animation during Comic Con, during D23, it felt very off. It felt a little awkward as well. I'm not gonna lie. uh, because whatever came out of Comic Con was just the illustrations, right? We didn't exactly get to see the animation. And I was like, yeah, I mean, this looks like it's straight out of a 80s comic book, right? Like the character designs and the sketches and everything. But the animation works so well. I mean, it, it won't take long for you. I think the first 5 minutes and you would be on the beat. You would be completely in sync with this animation style. And the writing is just on another level with this show. Like I said, they've taken a few creative liberties, but in spirit, this is as authentic to Spider-Man as it could be. There is, especially in the finale, in the final moments of the last episode of the first season, um Peter's actually talking to Doctor Strange, and he has this entire monologue that sometimes uh, sometimes you plan something in life, but then life puts you on a path. And some things that are meant to happen will always happen. They'll always find a way to happen, and that's fine. That entire thing, I'm probably messing up the lines here, but that entire monologue, I mean, if you don't want to watch the show, don't watch the show. But play the finale, especially the last 10 minutes where you see Spidey sitting on a crane talking to Doctor Strange. That one monologue makes it totally worth it. And then the next one is Spider-Man, the animated series, the famous one, from Fox. And again, not the best. It hasn't aged that well. There are a lot of tropes, a lot of things that haven't aged well. They even seem goofy and funny in hindsight, but it's still got a certain old school charm for me. Like, maybe it's just the nostalgia. um I've still got a soft corner for this show. Yeah, so it's still a great watch, one of the OGs. So you can check it out if you haven't already. And now, talking about the movies, see guys, I've tried to be as fair as possible. I did not put all Tobey Maguire movies. uh, I didn't put both the Garfield movies, and I didn't put all the Tom Holland movies. I had to play fair here, so I picked one from each. With Tobey Maguire, his Spider-Man 2 is arguably one of the best Spider-Man movies to have ever been made, if not the best. And it's a movie that still holds up today. Like, the jump scares still work, the characters, the way they develop, it all works beautifully even today. Um, so that's the reason that this movie is on my list. If you're someone who hasn't watched this, and most likely you're a Gen Z, if you haven't watched it, would strongly recommend that you check out this movie. It's a Spider-Man for the ages, right? um Although I will say this with an asterisk, Tobey Maguire is not the best Spider-Man there is. He's not the best Peter Parker. I mean, he's fine, he's decent, not the best. The next one is The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield. Now, I gotta say, when Andrew Garfield was announced as Peter Parker, and when the first trailers came out, I mean, I was still in school, right? I was in high school. I loved watching this guy because he carried that Peter Parker energy, that that nerd with an attention disorder who can't just stay calm, who's jumpy and everything. He captured it all to the T. Um, this movie, I loved it because they also took upon a villain that we hadn't seen in any of the other movies before this one. It was all about the lizard. Um, Fairly straightforward, fairly simple movie, not too complicated, not too complex. Um, Even the visuals, I think they were very fresh. Mark Webb tried doing something new with the character, which really worked well for me. One thing that did not really work well for me in this movie was the Spider-Man suit, but I think when you watch the movie you can pardon that. You can let go of that, because for the most part the movie's really good. It's really fun. um, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 from Andrew Garfield, it has arguably the best Spidey suit ever to exist in live action, period. But apart from that, the movie is pretty garbage. Um, this one, the suit's not that great. It is a bit too creative, a bit too left field for me. But the movie is amazing, as the name states. And then the final one is Spider-Man: Homecoming. Dude, this has been a really tough one for me, because for me this has been the greatest trilogy. Period. The Tom Holland trilogy, it's been the best of the lot. Um, No Way Home almost made it onto my list. I really wanted it to be here, but at the last moment, I pulled it off and instead put Spider Man Homecoming on there, because I'll tell you what Spider Man Homecoming did really well was it really captured the essence of being a high school kid who suddenly got powers and who's got a taste of fighting with the big boys, and how he's trying to, how his superhero alter egos got a pull on him. And how he's, where does the divide actually stem from, where does the messed up priorities come from? This movie captures that beautifully, and especially the final fight scene where uh, Spidey's buried under a lot of rubble, and finally, he's looking down in the puddle at his own reflection, and he finds that strength deep within. Uh, I think that scene really tells us at what point does Peter Parker become Spider-Man. Also, a lot of fun sequences, a pretty nice callback to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So this movie took the cake for me. So Spider-Man: Homecoming, the first of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. So that was my watch list. But what is your favorite Spider-Man TV show or movie? Please don't forget to drop them in the comments below. And we come to the end of live stream. That was all from me this week. Again, it was a pretty heavyweight show. We spoke a lot of we spoke about a lot of things. We spoke about um, everything that Marvel revealed at San Diego Comic Con. We spoke about our expectations, my expectations from Spider-Man Brand New Day, that's dropping this coming weekend, and what makes Marvel um, really do so well at San Diego Comic Con, and then all the trailers that came up, and ending with uh, my watch list for you this week. So if you like this show, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with your friends and your fellow nerds who are as crazy for all of this shit as we are. And don't forget to subscribe to TMB, and keep supporting the channel, guys. And I'll see you next weekend on my next live stream, and hopefully come at you with my reactions on Spider-Man Brand New Day.